The building had no door. Ella stood outside, staring at its curved glass walls. It shimmered like a bubble at the edge of waking. People passed without noticing. She placed her palm on the glass and whispered, "I've kept things too long." A seam appeared. The wall slid open. She stepped inside. The light was soft. No music. No announcements. Just quiet. The first exhibit stood in the center of the atrium. A sculpture made entirely of glances. Dozens of them, frozen in time, floating midair. Some soft. Some shy. One burned. Another trembled. Ella reached toward one and it blinked. A label beneath it read. He looked at her across the platform, but the train arrived before he spoke. Ella moved on. A hallway curved to the left, leading into the first gallery, the room of things left unsaid to family. Projected in the air were conversations that never happened. Transparent chairs. Ghostly teacups. A birthday candle blown out with no wish. One recording whispered, "I was proud of you every single day. I just didn't know how to say it." Another, "It wasn't your fault I was distant. I was just afraid of needing too much." Ella sat on one of the translucent chairs. A breeze passed through her chest. She wrote, "Silence often speaks from a mouth full of love, fear, and the ache of inheritance." She entered the next room, the chamber of almost confessions. The air here pulsed, a heat behind the ribs. Floating pages bore half-finished sentences. "I wanted to tell you that. Every time I saw you, I felt. That night, when we almost." Ella stood before a case that held only breath. The last inhale before the words that never came. She let out a slow exhale. The room shifted. Now, the corridor of love that wasn't said aloud. This gallery vibrated like a string pulled taut. No photos. No objects. Only textures. A coat she once wore, now stitched with regret. A scarf that smelled like the sea and a missed embrace. A piano key that echoed too long. On the wall. Some love exists only in the glance that lingers 1 second too long. She turned a corner and entered the room of first lies. Small. Sharp. A drawer filled with "I'm fine." A closet of "I don't care." A drawer marked, "I didn't need you anyway." She touched a doorknob. Cold. A voice behind her, hers, whispered, "We lie sometimes because truth feels too big for the moment we're in." Then came the garden of withheld joy. It bloomed. Laughter that was swallowed. Jokes unsaid. Victories downplayed. The air smelled like rain that never came. She stood beneath a tree whose leaves were shaped like small celebrations. One dropped into her hand. It was the memory of a dance she did alone, once, when no one was watching. She laughed. For real. Next, the theater of silent forgiveness. The stage was empty, seats full. She sat. Around her, faces she knew, faces she hadn't seen in years. On the stage, a single spotlight. In it, herself. Older. She said nothing, just nodded. The others nodded back. Forgiveness passed like a wind. Not loud, but felt. In the final hall, the walls curved inward. The room of things you never told yourself. A mirror stood in the center. Ella looked in. Not at her face, but at her silence. It took form. A child scared. A teenager fierce. A woman tired. A soul bright. All looked back, waiting. She whispered, "I hear you now." The mirror warmed. A plaque rose beside it. You've arrived at the end of what was never said. Everything ahead is yours to speak. Ella turned. The museum had no exit. Only a window. She stepped through. The world outside looked the same, but her body felt less heavy. Her hands less clenched. Her mouth more willing. She whispered into the night. Thank you for showing me that silence holds the shape of everything we're brave enough to say tomorrow.